Welcome to Million Hour Life Podcast. I'm the host, Eric Butz, and tonight, welcome the person I've talked to on air and off air, probably more than anybody, my big brother, Jim. What's up, Jim?
What's up? We gotta go big brother there. Make sure we clarify that. Big
Yeah.
brother. You know
Well,
what
I
I mean?
can't call you Big Jim. I used to call you Big Jim when you were 300 plus pounds, but now you're catching me. We're going to be the same weight pretty soon, thanks to your dieting and weight.
I'll take medium Jim now.
There you go. There you go.
I'll never be little Jim. I'll take medium.
Nah, never be little Jim. But you were my little brother. People used to think you were my little brother for years because you look so young for being 4 years or 3 years older than me. So
I got that baby face, you know?
you do have the baby face. And you know what? You don't stress. So you don't have that stress face that I tend to have a lot of times. So real quick, Jim, want to do a little disclaimer to people that are going to be watching this. So Million Hour Life Podcast is where we talk about life strategies and biohacks that might help you live to be a million hours old. To be very clear, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm a human explorer who spent many years and countless hours trying to figure out what I might be able to do so I have a chance to live to 115 and beyond. Nothing we discuss or do will guarantee anybody listening, even myself, to live longer, and just ideas and mostly things I do myself in the hopes of longevity for me. So want to talk today, Jim, a little bit about longevity. This is a journey we've kind of been on separately, but together. My first question for you is, did anything get you on the path to longevity other than our dad, who's been talking about living to 150 since we were in our 20s?
So personally, for me, I've always been interested in it, but recently I had my fourth natural child, my seventh child, and I'll be 52, and she's 1.
Yeah.
So the concept in my mind of thinking things through and looking at, what the average lifespan of someone who's 300 pounds for a majority of their life would be, how long they live, how things go, and figuring that I was on a trajectory of living to be between 68 and 72. That was my lifespan at the trajectory that I was going on. And then working that back and figuring I'm going to give my daughter 18 to 22 years of me. So I really need to change things around. And, I had dabbled in the stuff that we had spoken about, the David Sinclair stuff, the Andrew Huberman stuff, all those guys that go through. There's a bunch of people, I don't even remember their name. I just remember Dave Asprey, all these guys that talk about all the different things. And I wanted to get really, like you said, not a doctor, but I wanted to explore a lot of things. And I don't want to be 72 years old, limping to the finish line and existing. Like, I want to be, 85 years old and feeling like I'm 55 years old. I play hockey 3 days a week. I go out and run. I go out and do stuff that I did when I was 20 years old. And from talking to older people, one of the main things that they would say all the time is they wish they would have done more physically when they could have, so I try to do a lot of physical things that I don't want to regret not doing, whether it's the 12-hour walk or the 7-day fast or a lot of things that are difficult. I try to do that because I don't know how much longer, you know what I mean? Who knows? My knees could go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember a very important part in your life that I'm wondering if you remember, but your now second youngest child came to you when she was like 10 years old. And the sweetest kid.
Dude, she was way younger than that. She was like
7 or 8.
6.
Okay.
Yeah, she was like 6.
She's the person who would never say anything to hurt anyone's feelings ever to this day. Do you remember what she said to you?
Yeah, absolutely. She said, Dad, she said, I don't see a lot of fat old people. And I was like, what? I was like, what?
even tried with like, I've been looking around trying to find them, Dad. And I
Yeah.
just noticed I can't find any old fat people.
Yeah, she said, I don't see a lot of fat old people and I don't want you to die. So can you do me a favor and try to be not so fat?
Yeah, well, good job, dude, because you've lost. I know it's an estimate because I remember, I don't know if you remember back in the day when you did the weight loss challenge with James Hudgens from the
Yeah,
St. Louis Rams, but we had to go to a place to weigh you.
we had to go to a landscaping place that weighs rocks. Yeah.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have a guess of how much you've lost over the past 10
I
years?
know I know at one point in time I was 373 pounds.
Wow. And
That
you're
was
what now?
I was just 233.
Holy crap, Jim.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Dude, you've done a lot of stuff in your life that I'm proud of
Yeah.
you for, but nothing like having a child at an age where most people would say, you're too old to be having kids, and
Mhm.
realizing I got to make changes so I can be around at her wedding, not at her high school graduation. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and probably like, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was hovering around 275. I got down to like 300, 310 for a while. I lost a lot of weight. I was doing 75 hard. I was working really hard and I was hovering around the 270 mark when Miriam was born. And like don't 270s great sometimes,
Yeah,
but it's
dude, way
not.
better
But it's
than
not.
370.
Right, right, right. It's way better to 110 pounds, 110 pounds. But then even that was just like,
Dude,
when you look at the differences of life expectancy between 270 and 235, it's
yeah,
like 15 to 17 years,
yeah,
and I was like, well, you know, really now's the time because you're not going to be 62 and 300 or 275 pounds and go on a crazy thing. Like then you're talking about like starvation diets and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm just gonna physically work, and a lot of the people that we both listen to talk about the way to extend your life is to put a lot of muscle on your body, and I had to lose a lot of the fat first before I did that. I didn't want to just be like a big
hurt
bulky
yourself.
dude. Yeah, so I wanted to get down. My goal was 233. That's what I was when I turned 30. I was 233 at that one point. Um, and then I ballooned up to 370. So I wanted
You
to get back to my 30-year-old weight.
you definitely inspired me too, dude, because when you told me what your goal weight was, and I realized, oh shit, that's less than what I weigh right now. So if I don't get on the dieting
You can't
exercise,
ever let me catch you. That's
no,
one
I
thing you can
can't.
never let me do. Never let me catch you
I
in that
can't
one.
do it.
No,
I can't
no,
do
for
it.
sure. Yeah.
You've been my big brother always, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy for us to get really close. Another thing that inspired me one time was when you were losing weight. One of our good friends, who's a bit of a dick, Steve, texted me and said, "Hey, I saw a picture of you and your brother. What are you guys meeting in the middle?" So I realized, all right, I got to do something. And I had goals like you. I had
Yeah.
goals. I wanted to run the marathon, and I knew
Hmm.
there was no way I was doing that unless I got down to 180, or I would just hurt myself like I kept doing even when I was
Yeah.
running 5, 10 miles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, you talked about some people, Dave Asprey, Sinclair.
Hmm.
Who's your favorite? Do you have a person who's your go-to person, or do you kind of get a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person, and kind of put it together?
So the person that I really enjoy listening to the most is Andrew Huberman. I think he's got the mix of intelligence and not like David Sinclair. I really like, but sometimes I'm feeling like I'm in a different world. He's like over my head. He's an Ivy League dude. I don't feel, even though Huberman is a
Stanford
Stanford
guy.
guy. I
He
don't get
dumbs
the
it down for
feeling.
us.
Yeah,
Huberman
yeah.
dumbs it down for us. Sinclair, love him, but he's the guy who I feel like spends most of his
Hmm.
time in the laboratory,
Yeah,
And I do
and
have a little bit of trouble relating.
yeah, and it's kind of a tie between Andrew Huberman and Gary Brecka. I love Gary Brecka. I feel like he's
I love Gary
like
Brackett.
a guy's guy. You know what I mean? I really relate to someone who spends a certain amount of time in a field and just says, I'm out. I can't do this anymore. I just want to help people. I don't care if I make money or not. I'm going to quit my career that I've worked at for 22 years. I'm going this path, whether it works or not. And I like him, and I get the feeling like he's really telling the truth when he talks. Not that I feel like any other people are lying, but like the Dave Asprey, I kind of when he talks, I get the feeling he's bullshitting sometimes. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah. I like
he's
some of the things he says, but I
yeah,
get
yeah.
chills when I listen to him sometimes.
Yeah, he's got like that ego thing. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
feel like sometimes he's almost like he's doing the Christian Bale, like talking in the mirror and posing when he's talking, you know what I mean? The
yeah,
American Psycho
yeah,
thing. But I don't ever get that with Brecka or Huberman, you know what I mean? They're
yeah.
like just doing it to help you out.
Totally. I find that I do what Brecka says to do more than anybody else. I
Yeah.
follow Sinclair's supplements. I do take, that mix that he said he's been testing in mice for 30 years. I take NMN, I take resveratrol, I take the
Hmm.
TMG. I got my doctor to prescribe me metformin, and I take D3 and K2. I feel like he's on to something there. Like he has really spent that much time in the laboratory testing that and be able to turn mice back in age from being a 70-year-old, equivalent 70-year-old mouse
Hmm.
to a seeing well 30-year-old mouse that gets 50, turned back to 30. And he says, and I agree with him, we're not that much different than mice or yeast when it comes down to our biology. So I
Hmm.
do follow his supplements, but then when I listen to him talk, he gets very quickly over my head. Where you're right, Huberman does. I can tell he's so much smarter than me, but he dumbs it down and he has people on that you can just hear him have a conversation with and pull good stuff out of it. And he even says when, he starts talking about the frontal lobe and he knows he's going to get a little bit over our heads.
Hmm.
He's going to get a little bit over our heads. So
Yeah.
I
I
do like
also
listening.
I told you about Max Lugavari. I
Yeah.
really dig him. He's like more straight nutritionist. You know what I mean? He does the How to Eat Like a Genius podcast. And I love the stuff that he talks about. Like I can't remember what the exacts are, but there's certain chemicals in broccoli that are released differently when they're cooked or when they're eaten raw as a
Yep.
protection,
Yep.
so that you, as an animal, you can't just eat the whole field. And people don't know that stuff is there. And he talks about all the different anti-inflammatories in olive oil and how horrible canola oils and some other things are. And like,
So
I like that.
for him, I listen to, you ever hear Paul Saladino, Dr.
Hmm.
Saladino?
Yeah.
Another guy who talks about all that same stuff. Very big on, a red meat diet. His idea of a perfect diet is a lot of red meat, healthy red meat, grass fed, not fatty meat, but a lot
Hmm.
of red meat. Kefir, which is like the milk that
Hmm. Yeah.
pasteurized, honey, fruits, and some vegetables. But like he says a lot of people, and everybody's different, but a lot of people don't process broccoli and kale, even though, we think drinking kale shakes is great. It's
Hmm.
good for some people. It's not great for everybody. He's very big on, do what's best for you, but don't just believe that a vegetarian diet of all green leafy vegetables is the right way to go for everybody. So
Yeah, it's not the right way for me. I'll tell you that. I'm a
I do a
carnivore
lot.
diet guy.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. And I'll eat you know, asparagus. I'll eat Brussels sprouts. I'll eat cauliflower, stuff like that. I try not to do too many real stuff. I try not to do corn.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
do
you
much
know,
corn.
I'll do green beans. That's about as, you know, starchy as I'll go to. I don't do like baked beans or lima beans or anything like that. I'll do some carrots every once in a while, but not a
What about
ton.
potatoes? Any sweet potatoes, or you pretty much stay away from all
If I'm
potatoes?
if I'm gonna eat a potato, it's gonna be a regular potato.
Yeah,
I'm not eating a sweet
I
potato.
do
You
the
know,
sweet potatoes. I do
it's
the
just
sweet
not my
potatoes
thing.
and the purple potatoes. Don't sleep on the purple potatoes, dude. They're
Yeah,
almost as good as the white potato. But it beats the hell out of some you know, I've had put in front of me the mashed cauliflower as a potato substitute, and I'm like, put something that's at least potato in front of me, please.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
talking a
don't.
little bit about diet. Oh no, go ahead, bro.
I don't. There are a few things that are like, I guess not healthy, but that I just enjoy. So I do it every once in a while. You know what I mean? Like I really like potatoes. So I'll do, I'll cut up 3 or 4 potatoes into pieces and put them in olive oil with some salt and pepper and grill them up
Right?
and put them in my eggs. You know what I mean? I try not to do like French fries or mashed potatoes with a bunch of
Butter.
crap in it. You know what I mean? Butter and sauerkraut. I don't do any of that. You know, I might do a baked potato every once in a while with some clarified butter every once in a while, but I'll rather do that than, you know, do like one of those 65% substitute things because I'm going to eat it and I'm not going to enjoy it. And it's going to have just about the same effect calorically to me. So I'd rather just eat what I
And you're gonna get
really,
no
really crave.
fulfillment.
Yeah.
If you're gonna stray a little bit, at least get fulfilled and don't go off the deep end because you're like me, I believe. I've noticed over the years, I have amazing willpower. I have horrible self-control. So I
Yeah.
can eat none of anything. I can't eat a little bit of much without then finding myself in a bag of chips or eating all the cookies if I
I
just have
used to have a saying that I
I
eat like
love
a
this
shark.
one.
I eat like a shark, you
Oh, I
know?
thought you were gonna say I can only do one lap.
Yeah. I can't have one potato chip. I can only do one lap or one push up. I can't do one candy bar, one chip. But, you know, I really do at times eat like a shark. Like I can do nothing. I could do intermittent fasting, whatever. And then I get around a pile of food unsupervised and I will literally eat until I can't physically eat anymore. You know,
You know,
like
I gotta tell you, dude, I think that's something we were kind of raised with. I mean,
mhm.
mom's family is huge, and we would be in a room of 30 people, and the goal was who could finish their meal fastest so they could get seconds.
Yeah,
So
because
it's like,
only 3 or 4 people got seconds. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
everyone had to go through. Yeah,
So literally, even the adults in our family tried to out eat everybody pace wise. So I think that kind of was bred into us, and we got to figure out a way to get it out. But I'm with you, dude. I can eat none of it. But if you leave me around a pile of food and I eat just a little bit, it might be 10, 11
yeah,
o'clock at night. I'm now in the fridge eating everything. If I could just shut off, which I try to do, you know, I do intermittent fasting and I try and have my eating window from 1 in the afternoon till 8 p.m. I have nothing in the morning. Then I have
hmm
a shake and some AG1 at 1 o'clock. And then I try to wait to have my real meal at like 5 or 6. If I could just continue to keep that window, have a little fruit at 7, 7:30, and eat nothing else the rest of the night, I could stay 175 pounds forever. It's the eating after hours and the nights and weekends. It's like cell phone plans when we were kids. If
yeah,
I could just get rid of nights and weekends, my diet would be ridiculously clean.
yeah. There's a lot of times where I don't realize until 7 or 7:30 that I haven't eaten, but
Yeah.
then I'll eat like shit at 7:30. You know, and I'll plug somebody else, James Clear with Atomic Habits. Like in my house, I only have one bathroom on the first floor, right? But my pantry is in between where we stay and the bathroom. So as I go to the bathroom on the first floor, I have to walk by chips and cookies.
Yeah.
So
For the
I
kids.
know I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a car crash scene. I cannot look at the chips and cookies when I go in there, or I got to go upstairs to the bathroom. I can't use the bathroom on the
I
downstairs
hear you,
because
bro.
going
I'm
in and
lucky.
out, I'll never do it.
I have no kids in the house, so I just have it out of the house. If it's in the house, I'll eat it. If
Yeah.
nothing's in the house, I'm not going to the store to get shitty food.
No,
But if there's
no.
shitty food in the house, at one time I'll have a couple of drinks, and there
Yeah.
will be a time where that will all be gone. So
When you have a 1-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a
no way to
16-year-old,
avoid it.
there's
Just
going to
don't
be
go to that
shitty too.
bathroom. That's the
Yeah,
answer.
I gotta stay
Walk
away.
up steps, get some extra steps, walk upstairs and go to the bathroom.
Or even something simple like I don't let them put that stuff on the counter. You know what I mean? Like we have closed cabinets of things.
Cupboards.
So
Yeah.
put the
Put in the
put the
cupboard.
put the junk food behind closed doors because if I don't see it, if what I see is somewhat healthy and I walk by it, it's different. You know, if I walk by and see Oreo cookies, I'm not I can have one going into the bathroom, but then I
Yeah.
have 8 coming out of the bathroom, so
Yep.
I can't put them there, you know what I mean? I can't
You and
say
me
it.
both. You and me both. So
Yeah.
diet-wise, I know you talked about intermittent fasting. Talk to me a little bit about fasting because I do fasting on a monthly basis, but bro, I can only do like 72 hours. I'm done at 72 hours. You do 5 and 7-day fasts. So
Yeah,
talk to me a little bit about benefits that
every
you feel.
every year, I do the 2nd day of the year, January 2nd to January
Okay.
8th.
Okay.
Um, so I start the year out. I don't ever do New Year's Day because there's some festivities and stuff like that,
Smart.
and I don't wanna start my day off or my year off wrong and fall short. So from the 2nd to the 8th, I don't eat.
Okay,
Um,
and now is it a mental reason, or do you feel physical benefits from, like, I know they
the
talk about the autophagy of
yeah,
really going that long without eating. What do you
it's
feel?
it, it's a little bit of everything. So the
Okay,
first thing is I really do believe that it builds mental toughness to do difficult things. And
good.
if you say to yourself, "Oh no, I can't go 7 days without eating," then I absolutely have to do that. I absolutely have to do something that my bitch voice told me I can't do. That my head says you can't do that. I absolutely have to do it at least once just to prove to myself that the negative self-talk is not real, that
Right.
there's a bunch of stuff.
Once is different than once a year. You're doing it
Yeah,
once a year. I mean, I'm doing 3 days once a month, but
yeah.
3 days and 5 or 7 days, because I'm telling you, when I get to day 3, I am hangry. I am thinking about, like, I can't look on Instagram or anything because if I see some food, I'm ready to go eat.
So
What's it like day
you know
5, 6?
what's funny is the farther out I put the finish line, the easier the beginning is.
Okay.
So if I tell myself I'm going to do a 24-hour fast, 17 hours into it, I'm hungry and I'm
Okay.
fighting it. If I tell
Okay.
myself I'm doing a 5-hour fast, the first 3 days aren't hard. You
Gotcha.
know, if
I
I
do.
tell
Yeah.
myself I'm doing a 7-day fast, it really isn't that difficult until the 5th day.
Hmm.
You know, so the farther out I push it, the easier the beginning stuff is. And I follow a couple different people that do fast. I do non dairy just black coffee. I don't know why I'm even
Black
saying non
coffee.
dairy.
Yeah. Me too.
Black coffee, bone broth, and a non-caloric electrolyte replacement. So it could be
Smart.
just salt water, or First Form sells a non-caloric electrolyte packet that you can put in your water that has no sweeteners or anything like that.
Yep.
Um, and that's all that I drink.
I do salt and lemon juice in water
Mhm.
in the morning, getting out of the
Yeah,
salt just to
and
replace the electrolytes.
so the one study that I looked at said if you do a 7-day fast regularly, you cut the likelihood of cancer by 66%.
Over the 5-day or the 3-day, it's
No,
something about
in your lifetime.
gotcha.
Um, and the reason is because 75% of the energy that you use on your body is used burning calories. And once you've depleted all of your reserves, the only thing your body has to spend energy on is fixing the bad cells in your body. And you're also in starvation mode. So your body's saying, something's wrong here. We need to fix whatever's bad to lengthen our life because we're in a stress mode. Kind of like Gary Brackett talks about putting yourself in stressful environments. So
Hormesis.
yeah, so that's really what it is, and I believe that my body's attacking all of the horrible cells and all of the bad stuff, because everyone has cancer in their body. You know what I
Sure.
mean? It's just whether the tumors attach and grow and whatever. So and listen, whether it's real or in my mind or whatever, I don't care. It feels good. It's a good thing to do. I love doing difficult things. And if it's not scientifically true, but it's my mind telling myself that it's killing
Either
cancer, then
way,
maybe that's it. Maybe that's it too. Whatever, you know.
I'm all good with
Um,
placebo effect. I
yeah.
tell myself all the time the stuff I do is because my body's badass and I get rid of everything bad in my body. I'll
Hmm.
sweat it out. I'll get it out.
Yeah.
So, and I might be wrong, but it feels good. It feels
Yeah.
good to do.
Yeah. And then, there's a whole bunch of things like resetting your metabolism and a whole lot of things that autophagy does for you. So I'm gonna do a 10-day fast
Oh
next
shit.
next year. Yeah. I mean, there's people that go really so I've never done a dry fast. There's
Yeah,
a
I
there
think that's
there
crazy.
there are some people that say like 48-hour dry fasts are the way to really fix stuff. And I've never done that. And I'm not going to say I can't do it, because then I'm going to have to do it. I don't want to go there,
I don't
but
want to. I'm the opposite. I do super hydration when I'm fasting. I try and
yeah,
do 200 ounces of water, 50 of it being the lemon and salt water, and then 150 ounces of just regular spring water. And I do that every day of my 3-day fast. So
yeah,
forget that. And that's the only way I get through it. Like I get hungry. I'm like, all right, put more water in. I can't
yeah,
imagine doing that without drinking.
yeah. I mean, so that's kind of what it is. Like when I think of things that are like, oh no, I can't, like the 12-hour walk with no electronics or anything like that. I'm like, that's torture.
And what did you didn't eat anything for 12 hours? You literally
No,
just walked
no,
for
you can
12 hours.
eat. You can't have anyone come with you. You can't
Okay.
have electronics. You can't listen to your Walkman. You can't. You can have your Fitbit on. You can have your phone in your pocket. You can't use it, but you can. You
You can't
know,
even listen to music or anything?
no, no,
Oh shit, I didn't realize that.
yeah, yeah. There's no contact. You're just you and your mind settling. I went to Wawa. I did say hello to somebody. There's nothing that says you can't have any interaction, but you can't do it with somebody. And the guy that did it is Colin O'Grady, I think is his name. And he's been on the Ad My Lat show. He walked across Antarctica and did a bunch of stuff, and then came home and couldn't adjust to the world and was having a bunch of problems. And his wife said, why don't you go for a walk? And he went for a walk for 12 hours and came back, and that was kind of like his reset, because you're stuck with yourself. Your mind's going to talk to you all negatively. It's going to tell you, you're going to quit. Why are you doing this? This is silly. Just stop now, blah blah blah. And that was one of the things that I learned, just how powerful my negative self-talk is, because you don't have any distraction. You can't talk to someone on the phone. You can't listen to music. There's not, it's just you and your mind. And literally 20 minutes into it, it was raining out and I wore the wrong shoes and my feet started to hurt. And my mind was like, well, just call your wife and tell her to bring you new shoes. Tell her to drive. And it's not really cheating, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, And then I got 2 hours into it and my mind was like, you're never going to make it 12 hours. You should just quit now, because you're going to quit 4 hours from now. You're not going to succeed, and you're going to wish you quit 4 hours ago, because your feet are going
How'd
to
you
be
talk
shredded.
yourself out of that? How'd you, because I mean, that's a tough one, dude. When it's just you and you've got nothing you can rely on, you just again relied on your bitch voice and said, forget it. I'm this far in. I'm not giving up now.
Yeah, it's that. And it's like, I don't know, like most of the time my head just says, I'm not going to die. You know what I mean? Like it can suck. There's lots of things in life that suck, but if I'm not really risking my life, like
You'll
just
get through it.
just deal with it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's not, I'm not risking permanent injury. You know what I mean? I'm not, my ACL isn't torn and I'm trying to trudge on and I could hurt things more. It's like, At the very worst, it's horrible blisters that I have to take care of so they don't get infected. You know what I mean? Like, that's the real worst case scenario. It's literally just how long can you listen to yourself talk shit to yourself? That's really all it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a mental thing. And then it's like, you know, I told you I had like a chance to talk to a couple really super famous people, like, you know, like on the Ed Milet level and the John Maxwell level, and these other people that are like huge. And one of the things that they talked about was, you know, like their bitch voice says the same thing to them. You know, like Ed Milet
Good
said,
to hear that, right?
yeah,
Everybody's
Ed
got a
Milet
bitch
said,
voice.
yeah, Ed Milet said every time he walks out on stage, before he walks out, his head tells him, this is the night they find out that you're a fake.
Wow.
This is the night you fall flat on your face. This is when everybody finds out you've been faking the funk for 25 years. You're a fraud, and everybody's going to find out tonight. And I was like, that's the same thing my head tells me every time I do so. So it was just like, that's natural. And I've come to believe that no matter what I do, no matter how much I accomplish, no matter how rich I get or how smart, anything, my mindset is just my negative self-talk is going to be there. I don't know that I'll ever get to a point where it's going to, but I have to immediately just go, that's what happens every time. Just ignore it. You know,
Good.
like,
You can do that after all these years.
yeah.
Was it
And that's,
hard to break back into life after 12 hours of isolation by yourself?
no, dude, actually, I had an event. I had an axe throwing event for work. I walked from 5 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night, and I had to be at the old Woodcrest bowling alley in the axe throwing thing by 6:30 because my work had a axe throwing, and then I had to go with the Philadelphia Wings lacrosse team and throw axes with like 40 people. That wasn't the hard thing. It was more just like, you don't realize how much you distract yourself every day, you know, and just how much a couple hours of you being with you is. Like, I do meditation and I do stuff in the steam room and the sauna, and I try to do mantra and stuff like that. But like 6, 8 hours of you just plotting and planning and thinking and hoping and dreaming and reflecting, and it's just you and you know what I mean? Like, there's
Not even
nothing
I don't
else.
remember the last time I went 12 hours without at least little music in the background. So
Mhm. Yeah,
impressive.
it was really cool. You know, I'm gonna do it again really soon. I'm waiting
I was
for
gonna ask you that. You're doing the fasting every year. Is
Mhm.
that an every year thing, or just the when you get the itch to do it, feel like you need to clear your head?
It's been more than a year now, because it was before Marion was born.
Gotcha.
Um, and so it's a lot of different things. It's for me, for real. Um, but it's also really good to show other people that it's good to do difficult things. You know what I mean? Because as a society, that's the opposite of most people's mindset. Like, most people's mindset try to do the softest, cushiest way, and they make a lot of money doing the simplest thing, the easiest thing, the path of least resistance kind of thing. And I think that that's a problem with a lot of our society. Like, it's really good to do difficult things. It's really good. Like,
Definitely.
I got done that 12-hour walk and I was like in tears. It was something that just was one of the things that I got done and was like, that's a real accomplishment. That's something that took physically and mentally more than I thought it was going to be. You know, because when I first started listening to this guy, I'm like, it can't be that. It's just walking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not running through shark infested
Yeah.
waters. I'm not going into tigers. I'm literally just gonna walk. I walk 45 minutes at a time all the time. It's just walking, you know. But then you don't realize how long 12 hours is of nonstop walking, of going through. And I walked like 27, 28 miles or whatever it was. And you know, I'm gonna do it differently this time. I'm going to have a different pattern to go. I really want to go. I figured out that where I work, my office is 28 miles away. So
Oh shit. So
I
you
think
just
I
walk
can,
home
I think
type
I can,
thing?
I think I can walk to work. Yeah. I think that's going to be my 12-hour.
I think you should go like hit some woods somewhere where you can do, a decent stretch in real peace and quiet, because
The,
you got no
the
distraction of music, but man, you're walking on roads, you got cars driving by,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
what you have to realize is it's very difficult to find a place in the woods that you can walk for 12 hours. Like you could walk around a track in the woods for 12 hours, but a 12-hour walk, like you're going.
I talked to Dak, next door neighbor, track guy. He takes his people on Long Run Sunday, and he's told me some places in the woods that you can go where it's 15 miles. So you walk in for 15, you walk out for 15, bro. You got it.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't. I'm scared of that, man.
I do
I
hear that
don't.
too. Then you get stuck in the woods. What do you do if you're stuck in
Yeah,
the woods?
or you don't like. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know the path. I'm just
Yeah.
hoping that I'm going the right way.
Yeah.
At least when I'm walking. But I'll tell you what, walking on the street, you don't realize. Like I was walking on the grass. Seven
Yeah.
hours into it, 7 hours into it, I was walking on the grass because I was like, man, walking on cement
Don't
for
blame
for
me.
for 7 hours. And in my head, I was thinking to myself as this is going, like I worked at a furniture store for years. I worked 12 or 13-hour shifts and
Stop,
maybe
not
only.
stopping the whole time. Right.
Yeah, and on this, like I did sit down, like there's nothing that says you can't stop and eat lunch. I did
Okay.
stop and eat twice. It's not like you have to do a certain amount. It's literally just the time frame thing. And I was like, I've done this before, but it was not. It
Different.
was really different.
I hear you. The concrete and asphalt. I
Yeah.
was running on the street training for the marathon, and the neighbor saw me doing it. And he's like, "Dude, you got to get off the street and get on a dirt path." And I was like, "Man, I can't." Same as you're saying. I'm trying to run 15 miles. I can't find somewhere in the woods that I can run 15 miles. He gave me some places in the woods that I could run 15 miles. So,
Yeah, that's
and it
nice.
was totally different than being on asphalt the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what are your goals? You got any goals next 12, 24, 60 months? Like big things you want to accomplish, like losing the weight you lost, like, 7-day fast, but just different?
Yeah, I want to do, like I said, I want to do a 10-day fast. I want to do that. Um, I don't really have a weight goal because that's not really where I'm at. I really I want to get more to um physically fit. You know what I mean? Like I really
Agreed.
now that I got my goal, I don't really care how much I weigh. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be obese, but I'm not going to be a slave to a scale. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if I'll never be ripped. You know what I mean? I'll never be jacked.
Oh,
But
now that you said it,
but I
you
mean
got to get jacked.
I know that that's kind of the reality of things, but I could be much more because I could be more muscular. So that's what I'm going to go to. The next thing I want to increase my muscle mass. I still do have, fat on my midsection. I want to get rid of that. I want to get more muscle mass. I want to work on my upper body, and um, so I played my last hockey season. Um,
What?
I've
You're
been no no
retired?
no 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 the last one that just finished.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I played in a league, a 35 and older league, and 52. So,
Yeah.
um, and I happened to play on a line with probably the two best players in the league. Like the absolute best player in the league was on my line, and the guy who scored the second amount of points in the league was on my line. So, I kind of lucked into being the fifth.
You were the Renberg on the Lindros
Oh,
Lafleur.
no, no, no. I was the Marty McSorley on the Gretzky line. But
Nice, nice.
I did finish fifth in scoring in the league.
Okay.
So I got a
Let
little
me ask you this:
taste.
how many people older than you scored more points than you?
None.
There you
No.
go.
Yeah. But that was like the first time before that season, my goal was I really just want to feel like I contribute. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a liability. I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. I'm a team player. I'm a gritty guy. I go and muck and grind in the corners. I go in front of the net. I score dirty goals. I get cross-checked. I punch every once in a while. I stick up for my goal, that kind of thing. And this time it was like not an all-star, but I was a real contributor. So
Nice.
my goal over the next 2 years is to get a little bit more skilled. Get my skills up a little higher or work a little harder on that and increase. I don't think I'll be a distance runner. I'm not that person. I've never been, but working more on my sprints, on my internal recovery time, on my running from the blue line into the goal and not having to come off real quick, being able to breathe and recover, or take a 30-second break from my shift rather than a 2-minute break kind of thing. So I want to work on those things. I have to get a measurable number. You know what I mean?
You
I have to
nailed it,
get
dude.
something.
You nailed what you have to do with sprints. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe. So I was struggling to get for a while over 10 miles in one run. And Roger, who we worked with back years ago, who had a heart attack, told me
Roger
then,
Penix. Yeah.
yep, told me what I did to really change my life, Eric, is I go to a track and I run sprint the straights, jog the curve, sprint the
Mm-hmm.
straight. So I got a mile up and down my street. And I started doing every other telephone pole, sprint to one telephone pole, jog
Mm-hmm.
to the next, sprint, jog to the next, and try to do that as long as I can till it's sprint, walk. Doing that for just a couple of miles, a couple of times a week, almost instantly let me double the distance I was running without even feeling it. The
Yeah.
combination of that and breathing, count your steps. Take as many steps as you can with breathing in, as many steps as you can with one breath out. And then if you can keep like 6 steps pace, 6 steps in, 6 steps out, 6 steps in, and then little by little, you might go down to 5, you might go down to 4. But the longer you can keep that breath work with your jog, the
Mm-hmm.
longer you're going to be able to run without
Yeah.
having to do a lot of training and a lot of exercise.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of them. It's crazy. I heard a statistic the other day on one of the things I was watching. It said that like 63% of Americans after they turn 35 never sprint.
Unless
Never
they're
sprint.
running from something from their life. You're right,
Yeah.
dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, like, dude, I am not like the picture of health. You know what I mean? Like I do work out, I do a lot of stuff, but 3 or 4 days a week, I I play hockey on foot and I
Yeah,
run for, most of my days are 13 to 16,000 steps. You know what I mean? Like
great.
most of the day I do that stuff and I'm like, well, that's what from until I turn 60, that's what I want to do. I want to get myself
Like it.
in a physical position so that from 60 to 70, 60 to 75, I can still do physical things. I don't know. I got a guy that plays hockey with us that's 63. You know what I
Wow.
mean? One of the goalies is 67. That they're not like, they're not like Bernie Perrant out there at the winter games that they're holding them up. Like they're playing, you know. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to keep all those things, but I have to take time to get some measurable goals because I don't do well when I just say I want to do this a little bit or I want to do this better.
Yeah.
Like I
You
have
got
to
to have a
attach,
finish line.
yeah, a number to it. I have to get here. I need
Great.
tangible goals that I can accomplish. Not I want to do this more or
It's
this, and
funny
this.
because you said, working out more. That's my goal this year. Last year was losing the weight and running the marathon. This year, I want to get somewhat jacked. I'm like you. I'm never going to be the totally jacked guy, but I could still be in better shape than I've ever been in.
Mhm.
And one of my
Yeah.
goals is, and I never was a big bench press guy. You know, we hung around with Houston and Larry Levinson, guys that
Mhm.
spent their whole life just worrying about their bench press. But I do want to be able to put up 225 pounds 2 times, like not just max it, but put it up twice by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm doing some stuff to help me get there because I'm like you. I can't just say I got to get in shape because I'll do it, but I won't get to where I really want to be unless I put tangible goals out there. So
Yeah. I'm
when
gonna
I just
do.
want to have a six pack too. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be jacked, but I've gotten 2 packs before, but I want to get the whole 6 by the end of the year.
I'm not looking for that. I'm going more for I'm gonna go in and get my body mass done and figure out what my percentage of muscle is on my body, and then I'm gonna figure out what I need to increase that to. And
I gotta get you,
that'll be my
Jim.
goal.
I gotta get you to Dr. Kepko this
Yeah.
year. Because like
Yeah.
we
That's
talk about guys like Gary Brecka, you know, guy who was in the insurance industry, a mortality expert. Well, nobody's better than Kepko. He's a doctor who just worked on dead people for the
yeah.
first 25 years of his career, and then got so depressed with it that he told his wife, "I'm going back. I'm opening up a practice, and I want to teach people to live longer." And he does those blood tests where, dude, the
Yeah.
first appointment, it's not cheap, but it's worth it, dude. You spend $500 the first appointment and then $250 every 6 months. But he spends an hour and a half with you going over every metric of your blood. For instance, I found out, you hear Gary Brecka talk about it. I have the MTHFR gene. So my
Right.
whole life, I've been wondering why I have trouble processing food right. And it's because my body doesn't turn folic acid into folate. It just stacks it up. He gave me a methylated folate, and it's
Mhm.
changed my life. So little teeny stuff like that, and he's just such a cool guy, dude. You'll love him, but I really would love to see you do that this
I'm
year.
going there. I'm gonna go there within the next 90 days. I'll be there for
Awesome.
sure. Yeah.
It's a little bit of a drive. You got to go to Ben
Whatever.
Salem to see him, but
I go to Ben Salem for a loan package, so I better go to Ben
that's what
Salem
I
for.
that's exactly what I said. I'll drive
Yeah.
anywhere to do a loan
Yep.
to extend my life and have a
Mhm.
coach, like a guy who. The other thing that's good about it, watching all these people online, it's great. But when you sit down with him, he gives you, these are the things you have to do over the next 6 months, and you sign it and he signs it, and it's almost as much that I don't want to let Doc down. I want
Mhm.
to I want to live longer, but I want to go back and show him how awesome my blood is. And I went from first time I went, he gives you everything that's either green, you're good, red or yellow, you got to watch out, red, you got to fix this. And I had a ton of red and yellow. And when I went back this time, so this was my 1 year when I went back. So I saw him for the 3rd time, and he was like, "I'm not telling you to do anything different. I love your blood. Everything about it, everything was green, dude. I had no yellow. The one I
Nice.
do still have to get my HDL, my good cholesterol up some. So he
Okay.
wants me to eat some more leafy greens and work out more, which are the 2 things that I know I needed to work on anyway. But
Right.
just having someone that literally lays it out for you and explains, dumbs it down for me, explains everything I'm doing right and mostly in the beginning wrong. And then I see the benefits and the changes over the 6 and 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm down.
So, talking about longevity, I want to live to be 115 plus. I think it'll be amazing. At first, I was saying I wanted to be the first great, 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 great grandfather. I realized I was putting a little too much pressure on my downline that they'd have to start having kids young like we did for me to get. So now I just want to be able to see my grandson turn 75. I can't believe I might be able to do that. But when I think about it, it's not about just getting to that age. But if we get that age and we're in a wheelchair from 90 to 115, I'm out. I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got my ideas of what I hope to be able to do. Do you have any ideas of not just the age you want to get to, but when you're call it 80, 90 plus, have you ever thought about the things that you need to be able to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think about when I'll feel it's over kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't know how old I'm going to be, but I want to be able to go on a 30 to 40-minute walk whenever I want. If I can't
Yeah.
do that, it's going to be a difficult mental thing for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully that's 90. You know what I mean? Hopefully that's 90, 95 where I can keep going. You know, I got a bad knee. I got to work on that. I'm going to do some stem cell stuff. And I've had a torn
Knees over toes,
meniscus for a
guy.
while. Yeah.
Gotta get on the knees over toes, guy.
I watch them, but I have no meniscus. So
I
it's not
remember that.
even it's not like um, it's something I need to physically repair. It's not like
And then strengthen.
agility. Yeah, yeah. But you know, stuff like that where I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to limp into it. I don't want to be a burden on other people. I want to be able to not, I don't want to exist. I want to live. When I get to the point where I can't live anymore. I don't know all the time what it'll be. Sometimes it might be like, hey, when I'm 90, I still want to go on vacation. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
still want to maybe, you know, something silly like smack my wife's butt. You know what I mean? Like if I get away from that, I don't want to. I
It's the
don't want to
youth.
be.
It's
Yeah,
the youth.
you know, like I want to. You know, I know my. You know, Lexi, my oldest, is 30. I already have a grandchild. So if I put it 50 years from now, you know, that makes me 102. So 40 years from now, it makes me 92. You know, Elizabeth could have a
Grandchild.
grandchild by then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be crazy. You know what I
Amazing,
mean?
dude. To get to see your great grandchild is
Hmm.
pretty awesome right there. I'm like you, the walking thing is big. I want to be able to walk a dog on the beach at
Hmm.
90, 95, hopefully 105, you know, because that's the thing. We don't know. We don't know how long we're going to live, but I think you die one of two ways. You either live a really great life and then it ends quickly and you fall off a cliff, or you watch yourself steadily decline over a 10, 15, 20-year period. And that's my goal. I just want to live a life where it's the falling off a cliff. You know, I don't want
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
myself steadily decline. I want to, and I'm not against, you know, I always think of it too. Like, I guess dying in your sleep's pretty cool, but I'm like, I kind of think I want to die doing something. Like, I almost want to do like crazier stuff when I get older. I get to 80, 90. Maybe that's when I'm jumping out of airplanes and shit because,
Yeah.
hey, if it doesn't work out, at least I died doing something, not like, well, I just stopped breathing one day and it was over. So,
Yeah. I just had the experience of dealing with Ralph passing away, you know,
yeah,
and Ralph was in his upper 70s. And
80.
I got to sit down and talk to him, and he knew he was going to die. And him and his wife had been together for 50 years or something like that.
Yep.
And they knew that they were spending their last weeks together. And it was really deep. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I got to sit with them for like an hour and a half, and they were talking about binging stuff on Netflix and making sure they got in some things and going over spreadsheets to talk about where the money was and where things were. And it was like a really deep conversation. And I was like, I don't think I want to go suddenly. I think I want to be prepared to go through. I think I want
I
to
hear that.
be you know, like he was dying of cancer, but he still had his wits about him, you know what I mean? He was still
He
very
he was,
coherent.
you know, kind of like in between that slow decline or decline. I can't even call it a slow decline and falling off of a cliff because it was a
Yeah.
short period of time from when he found out he was sick until he passed. And he lived, man, watching his service, he lived a ridiculously full life
Mhm. Yeah.
from a young age up until just a couple of months before he passed. So
Yeah.
you can't control everything, but man, he's a good example of a guy who seemed to do it right, man.
Yeah, and it was just a really cool thing where I thought like that's kind of maybe not exactly how I want to go, but definitely something where like I want to be able to sit down and talk to, like we had the conversation that even though you don't look forward to it, I want to have with people in my life. There was nothing that I had to worry about with him that we didn't talk about before he went. He told me some things, and like anyone who's watching this doesn't really know, like that was my stepdaughter's grandfather, so like there always was a little bit of uncomfortability with me because his son passed away, and that gave me the opportunity to marry his, baby's mom.
Granddaughters, yeah,
you know
granddaughter's mom.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like so like literally the worst event that happened in his life, which was his son dying, was really an opportunity for me to expand my life and grow. And they welcomed me in like I was part of their family. So like I told them, thank you for that, because there always was the thing in the back of my mind, like I don't know how I would have been feeling if I was in his shoes. Like
yeah,
when I walked in the room, I didn't know if there wasn't that thing in the back of his head that was like, here's this motherfucker, it's in my son's, you know what I mean? Like there
yeah,
was,
yeah.
and he never made me feel like that. And he was always so nice and kind. And they always treated my kids like they were their kids. And
Yeah.
my, and we talked about it. And you know what? He said, like, we were talking and I'm feeling uncomfortable about all this. And he was like, it's crazy because I always felt like I'm so grateful that you were there to raise my granddaughter.
There you
And
go, dude.
there was somebody
You know what?
there.
That's the perfect thing to say about living the right life. He had the worst thing happen to him. His only child passed away, and he turned that into ways to be grateful.
Yeah.
And man, if you can live your life in gratitude, you end up with a happy life. And he really did. For having some horrible stuff happen to him,
Yeah.
watching his service, he lived as happy of a life as you could live for rough circumstances.
Yeah. And it was the most awkward conversation when you're talking to somebody and they're telling you that the battle that they're having in their head is they want this to be over,
Yeah. He's
but they
looking for the
don't.
exit.
Yeah, but they don't want to leave their wife. You know what I mean? Because like that was his thing. He wanted it to be over, but he didn't want to leave Gail because he
Yeah.
knew that Gail was going to be by herself,
Mm.
And it was just a super grounding experience. It was so deep and so emotional. And I was just like, man, that's the way he went out, with grace and dignity. And even
Yup.
though he was passing away, there was no anger, there was no bitterness, there was no woe is me, there was no nothing. It was just very, um, very cool. And I thought, at least from that standpoint, the dignity and the grace and all that, I want to make sure that I put myself in a position that I'm at least capable of doing that. Maybe that's not the way it goes, but if that presents it to me, that's the way I want to do it.
Love it, dude. But
Yeah.
long, long, long time from now. Let's
Yeah,
live
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
let's
yeah.
live to 1,000,000 hours first. Let's
Yes,
get to
yes, yes. Give me
115
that.
together. And then go out with a bang. So
Yeah,
Jim,
yeah.
this been the fastest hour I could imagine talking to somebody through. So to end, just putting it out there. So is there anything that you see that you would love to try to extend life or to get healthier for longer that you haven't? Whether it's, I don't know if you do cold plunges or isobaric chambers or
I don't do the red light therapy yet. So like in my perfect world, in the next 12 to 24 months, we live in the woods and it's cold in the winter. So I do the Gary Breckett thing. I wake up in the morning,
grounding.
I go outside, I ground, I do some breath work, I
Me
come
too.
upstairs and I do a 5 to 7 minute ice cold shower. Um,
Love it.
in the near future, I'm gonna do infrared sauna and a plunge at the house so that I can do a little bit more to get there. And then I think more than anything, like this is what I definitely want to do. I want to seek information and be open minded and try things, even though my head tells me they're not something I should try, and just keep going and keep doing different things and keep learning and keep listening to people and keep constantly seeking to physically and mentally improve myself. That's really what it is. I don't know what the next thing is right now. I don't have one thing or two things, but I know that it's going to be something that I listen to in the next 2 months where I'm like, that's it. That's what I did with the 12-hour walk. I was listening to it and I was like, fuck that. And I was like, oh, I got to do that. So something I'll hear will be the next challenge. I'm like, okay, cool. I got to do it. Let's go.
Do it. All right, well,
Yeah.
let's do it together, dude, and let's do
Yeah.
this again, Jim. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for
Awesome.
being the inaugural guest on Million Hour Life. So thank you, bro.
Thank you very much.
All right, talk to you soon.
See you.